Welcome back to another Odyssey 40k video. My name's Chris, and in this video we're going to be going over every faction that's present at the Nations Cup in Leoben, Austria this weekend, which is a 8-person teams event held in Austria. I hope you enjoy. So this is going to be a pretty chill video. I'm just going to be, I've got a bunch of tabs at the top here that you can't see. I'm going to be looking through all of them. There's, one tab for every faction. So we're just going to go through them all, look through all the different armies, kind of talk about the notes, the interesting things that happen in each one, and we'll kind of go from there. But yeah, this is the Nations Cup. It's the Alpine Cup, I guess is the other name for it. But it is, it's an 8-person team event held on the 10th of January in Leoben, Austria. I believe it must be either the same location or very similar location to where WTC was. Very exciting stuff, but there are some really, really cool lists at this event, some really interesting stuff, some stuff that really makes you think about how to approach list building. So I kind of wanted to talk about that, and I really just wanted to kind of look at these lists a bit more myself, so why not talk you guys through what I think about the list at the same time. So without further ado, let's go into the different lists. So the first list we got here is, I did specifically, the only one that I put into order was this one because I wanted to put the Wrath of the Rock list first. So this is the one Dark Angels player that's at the event. Most notably at teams events, you can't pick multiple, say, Space Marine factions. So if you have a Blood Angels player, it means you can't have a Dark Angels or an Ultramarines player. If you have Ultramarines, it means you can't have a Dark Angels player, right? So you can only pick one of the Space Marines kind of super faction. So the fact that they thought Wrath of the Rock was better than, say, like Ultramarines Gladius or Ultramarines Blade of Ultramar is, definitely saying something. So really interesting here. So let's dive straight into the list. This is one of the Team Slovakia players. He's playing Wrath of the Rock with Lionel Johnson as his Warlord and Deathwing Assault on the Ancient and Terminator armor, which is the turn 1 deep strike. Then 4 characters, he has the Ancient with Deathwing Assault, Ezreal for the CP and just good all-around character, Combi Lieutenant, ubiquitous, just very good, and then the Lion. One thing the Lion does really well at the moment is being a fights first AP4 flat 4 damage guy into a world where Victrix Honor Guard exists. So really, really strong there. He can consistently kill like 3, 4, 5 Victrix Guard in an activation, which can just be absolutely backbreaking for those kind of armies. That means they can't really charge him. He can set up in places where he can heroic, so this becomes this real big problem for those armies, which usually means you just won't get paired into it in teams. But at the same time, like if you can shoehorn your opponents into certain factions, can be really, really strong. So really, really cool piece. And also the fact that he can teleport around gives the rest of your army extra rerolls. It's very, very valuable at the moment. Then we have an intercessor squad to stick here home and then kind of run forward if they can. We have 2 units of assault intercessors with jump packs. Good, just early game pieces. 1 Ballistus Dread. Don't really get much in this detachment. They are technically Deathwing, so they do have the 6-inch charge strat in your opponent's charge phase. So that's kind of cute, but apart from that, nothing too crazy. 2 units of Deathwing Knights, both with maces, and then Great Weapon of the Unforgiven on the sergeants. A unit of 6 Inner Circle Companions. I believe this will be going with Ezreal. 2 Landspeeder Vengeances, which is very efficient shooting platforms, and they're also very fast. One thing that's very notable about Wrath of the Rock is it's often quite a slow army. It kind of slowly just controls the board and moves forward. It doesn't have anything to really reach you. So the 2 Landspeeder Vengeances there actually give you that reach that you need early game to really get those angles, get those fights going. Same with those 2 units of JPIs as well. Those kind of pieces together really make the game a bit more multi-dimensional, not monodimensional. And then also the 1 unit of Deathwing Knights being able to turn 1 deep strike also kind of helps with that kind of speed element. And then we have a unit of scouts to finish it off. So decent amount of trash. The Landspeeder Vengeances are also great to have that kind of early game action monkeys as well, because you can, like, often turns you don't want to like send them out to actually shoot. You just want to get them into a position so you can actually get them on, like, onto an objective, because they move 14 inches. Pretty easy to get them from like one safe place to another safe place. Do a cleanse, do a recover for you, something like that. Can just be really helpful as well. So it kind of helps you with that early game staging and secondary scores. Then also those damaging pieces in turns 2, 3, 4 if you need them. Most likely they'll be dead by the end of the game. That is the first list that we're going over. And the next one we have is We have the Necrons, which is a Star Shatter Arsenal, which is the Grotmist attachment from over a year ago now. How crazy is it that it's been over a year since we since the 20 Grotmist attachments we had? Absolutely crazy. Absolutely crazy. So this list, so Star Shatter, yeah, you get benefits if you shoot things on objectives, and you get assault on your guys. Pretty good abilities. So we have Catan Shatter, the Nightbringer. We have a Psychomancer with Chrono Impedance Fields, which I believe is the pick a vehicle -1 damage. Pretty strong. Then we have a Technomancer with Demanding Leader. I'm not sure what Demanding Leader does. Then we have the Silent King. Really, really good with that -1 damage enhancement just to point at him. And then -1 damage Silent King, especially in the meta right now with Victrix Onager AP damage 2. Really helps keep things like the Silent King alive. Really, really strong there. Unit of 6 Wraiths to go with that Technomancer. 3 Doomsday Arcs, notably Doomsday Arcs are damage 4, so really good into that kind of Victrix style stuff as well. Unit of 5 Flayed Ones, unit of Ophidians, unit of Tomb Blades, and then 5 sorry, I need to scroll down so you can see 5 Triarch Praetorians. Yeah, strong list. It plays the game really well. This is definitely the more of the damaging side of this that I've seen with the triple Doomsday Arcs. Often I've seen like Jonty play this with 2 Doomsday Arcs and that second unit of Flayed Ones and like 1 less trash piece. But because what the double Wraith bricks kind of deal with that kind of mid-game pressure. But I guess if he wants to go into Victrix Honor Guard a bit more often on those Ultra Brains lists, the Wraiths are actually probably a bit more of a liability because the Victrix have enough attacks to actually push through the damage to kill the Wraiths, even with Feel No Pain. So maybe just like hedging your bets with the one, so forcing commitment but not going overboard in that regard, and then having that extra damage if they do force that commitment. Pretty interesting. It's a fast, plays the board really well. It's just an overall pretty strong list. I have realized one of my New Year's resolutions this year was realizing that I don't really like Necron's playstyle. They kind of play in an unfun way for me. Like you can't play the normal game. The games I like to play, which is like the tradie games or like they kind of play like a crazy stat check that really punishes you if you don't tick the stat check. And this is what kind of what the Wraith bricks and stuff do. But it's a strong list. I think it's really interesting. And I think there's some really, really cool things you can do with Necrons right now. So yeah, really cool to see them at the event. Next we have Kyle Grundy and his Retaliation Cadre Tau Empire list. Now in my recent tier list that I did, I put Tau Empire in A tier, which a lot of people disagreed with, but at the same time, I hold to that decision because it is. I do think Retcad is just that strong right now and very efficient into the meta that I think it's where you want to be. So Retcad, you get +1 strength within 12 inches, within 9 inches. You get +1 AP +1 strength within 12 inches, +1 AP within 9 inches. So it really helps getting those Riptides to AP 4 flat 4. Really good place to be, especially when you can ignore cover pretty consistently with your entire army or everything that matters. So that's quite strong. And then you just have a bunch of crisis units that are very efficient. You also have you can kind of bait out stuff by moving forward, shooting something, and then fire and fading. So you can kind of get some you can set up some unfun board states to be in, which is like really tricky board states for your opponent to play in. But let's get into the list. We have Commander Farsight, Commander in Cold Star Battlesuit. We have with 2 burst cannons and a cyclic, a Cold Star with 4 missile pods, and an Enforcer with 4 missile pods and Star Flare ignition. That's the end of your opponent's fight phase. You can lift them back into the sky at the engagement range. Really, really powerful with the 6-inch deep strike that you can have access to in this. Which means they can always be firing every turn, and you can also fire and fade them, but you can also always put them in places where you really need them to. Really, really strong unit there. Then we have a strike team, just good, bodies. Then we have a Fire Knife team with all missile pods. Another Fire Knife team with all missile pods. One of those will probably be going with each of the commanders. A Starside with burst cannons, that probably goes with the Cold Star with all the burst cannons. Then we have one Sunforge, which just has fusion blasters, good into your like anti-tank like pieces. Crew Carnivore unit, 2 Pathfinder units, all with one with Grave Inhibitor drone, and the other one with assuming a recon drone. So One of them has -2 to charge always, and then the other one has infiltrate. So you have infil scout on one. And then 3 Riptides because just, again, that AP3 / AP4 damage 4 is just really, really premium at the moment with those Vitreous Guard running around. And then we have 2 stealth teams, which at their new 110 points cost, even though they're 5-mans now, is pretty steep, but the efficiency that they give the army, just huge. But the gameplay that this can play, it can be very fast when it wants to be. It hits exactly where it wants to, the turns that it wants to. It's faster than you expect. The uppy downy, the 6-inch deep strikes, the just the uninteractability that you can have with fire and fade strat. All really strong things you can do. Really strong list. Really excited to see how this goes at the event this weekend. Really interested. Next we have Chaos Demons. Now Chaos Demons is an army that I am quite excited about at the moment, with whether it's Scintillating Legion or Demonic Incursion. I think they both have some really interesting play right now for like similar but different reasons. The Kairos and the other birds have just gone up in power quite a bit, being flat 3 damage now. It really puts that damage output through the roof when you have always on +1 strength, because they always get their own +1 strength bonus. So they're strength 10 base. Really, really crazy stuff that you can do. And then you have Pyrogenesis and Scintillating Legion, which this list is, to get extra strength as well. So you can be winning pretty much everything in the game on 3s. Really, really strong. And then even in Demonic Incursion, you can get that, you have the Everstave on one, so you get the extra strength there and extra range, which can be pretty cute. And you also get the +1 AP strat, which is very strong. But what do we have here? We have 3 Birdman is the name of the list, and we have a Chaos Demon Scintillating Legion, which is the Zence Demons one. We have Be'lakor, great utility piece, gives you that lone up on turns 1 and 2, and then consistency with the rerolls, and he's also just a really good beater. Demon Prince of Chaos with wings, with the Neverblade. This guy just absolutely absolutely nails things. Like, he just does a lot of damage. He gets that +3 attacks once per game, so you can really just blend things. Really good like damage, like melee damage piece that you add to this army, which is really strong. Then we have Kairos for CP regen, indirect, and just a really good gun platform. And also Vectora. And 2 Lords of Change, one with Infernal Puppeteer, which is an absolutely crazy busted enhancement, which basically if he can pick a friendly unit within 6 inches and then use them for line of sight for his gun, which you're like, oh, that's okay, but like, so he doesn't have to see. It gets around lone op because you count from the model that you're picking from, and it's not the model that you can see. If it's 10 pink horrors, or unit of 3 flamers, you're close to one, and then 6 inches later is the other guy, the other end of the squad. And then he's the guy that you're actually going for the line up and stuff for. So you can do some really janky stuff with this, and it's really, really cool what you can do. So yeah, really good. So basically you have double indirect pieces with Kairos and then the Infernal Puppeteer. And the Infernal Puppeteer isn't indirect, so it also doesn't take the minus to hit penalties that you would if you were playing an indirect. So very strong there. And then we have another Lord of Change with Improbable Shield. That just gives you, I believe it's a 4-up mortal wound protection. 4-up save against mortal wounds. Really, really strong, when one of the best ways to deal with these big beasts is mortal wounds. 1 unit of Nurglings for that infiltrates protection. One thing that this list doesn't want is to get tagged too early. It doesn't mind when it's turns 2 and 3 if it gets tagged, because then it has the CP for the uppy downy strat, and it can use its uppy downy strat if it uses the flux point, even if they're in engagement range, which is very, very strong. So it just needs to slow you down a tiny bit until it can get all of its gears working, and then it's fine. And then we have 3 units of 3 flamers, 2 units of 3 screamers, and then 1 unit of 6 screamers. Now this is quite a bit of trash when you also think about what you have is like your 5 kind of haymaker units here with Be'lakor, Demon Prince with wings, Kairos, and then 2 Lords of Change. That's a lot of damage when you also have all this utility. You have effectively 5 3-man units and then 1 6-man unit to really push that kind of like all your scores up, make sure you're getting all the pieces that you need, getting all the points that you want to get. It's just really, really strong. It's a very hard list to play against, especially if you haven't played against it before. Like as I said in my tier list video that I did last week, if you're playing against Scintillating, the best thing you can do 90% of the time is just never use a flux token. Yes, your opponent will get some flux tokens back, but that's fine. It doesn't matter. You're just trying to keep the flux tokens as low as possible because it means that they have the least amount of options available for them. So just really try not to use them is the best thing you can do in this regard. Even though it's so tempting, the extra rerolls to hit, the extra rerolls to wound, the extra save rerolls is so tempting, but just know that they get more benefit out of them than you can. So it's actually a net negative for you, even if you are getting those rerolls to use them. Again, there's some of these situations where that's not the case, but most of the time I would have to say that is the way. Next, we have the Gene Stealer cult list. This is a pretty cool one. It is Poland's Gene Stealer cult list, and it is Final Day, which is the Gene Stealers and Tyranids mixed attachment. The list name is we've got Golonka at home, and it is a Abominant, a Benefactus with Inhuman integration. Not sure what that does. We can actually bring that up. I actually have it, so I have it set up so I can. Let's just bring you up. Inhuman integration. So I just go doink. Awesome. So it is Gene Stealer cult models only. Weapons equipped by models in the bearer's unit have the sustained hits 1 ability while targeting an enemy unit within 6 inches of a friendly Tyranids unit. Okay, so sustained hits is definitely quite a strong ability to have there. So definitely don't hate that. So we can keep that up in case we need to look at anything else. So that's quite strong. And then we have Death Leaper, a Loku. I'm assuming a Locus. The S definitely isn't showing there. Very funny. And then Patriarch. Then we have 1 unit of Acolyte hybrids with auto pistols, 1 unit of 5 Acolyte hybrids with hand flamers, 3x10 gargoyles. Gargoyles in this detachment are really good because you need to keep your opponent away from you, kind of holding them back. This list isn't trying a lot of the time to get huge scores. This is a great list to deny your opponent's scores. So having that kind of stuff is really strong. There's the 20 Neophyte hybrids. I'm assuming this is what the Benefactus with the sustained hit. So then you have sustained lethals on that unit. Very, very strong place to be. Then we have 5 Aberrants to go with that Abominant. 1 Ridge Runner with Mortar. And then 2 units of 2 Ridge Runners with heavy mining lasers. Those are your main kind of anti-elite infantry, anti-tank kind of pieces. 2 Goliath trucks, because they're actually quite efficient for 85 points. They're quite good. And then we have 10 Hybrid Metamorphs, 1 Neurolictor, and then 10 Pure Strain Gene Stealers to go with that. Patriarch. So you have some really good tools to like dig things out of points. You have lots of pieces to like recur back that if you want to. You also have like the gargoyles to kind of deny those primary as well, move block, do all that kind of fun stuff. So really good controlling army here. I'm really interested to see how it goes. I don't know a huge amount of GSE. I did play them a little bit a few years back, but I haven't really played them anytime recently. So I don't have a whole heap to go with there, but it's a very interesting list. And my co-host Tate for the Skill Issue podcast does play them. So I might even ask him on that. So definitely have a watch of that if you are interested in that. And we might try and talk about a couple of these lists on Wednesday night's episode. So definitely stay tuned for that. Next, we have Peter's Imperial Knights list. This is the only Imperial Knights of the entire, of all the teams. So there's only this one list. So pretty interesting here, but let's have a look into it. So it's a Restora's Companion. So trying to stack those deeds to get additional buffs. Those different vowels, I guess. So we have Canis Rex, Knight Cerastus Atropos, and then we have a Cerastus Knight Lancer as well. So Atropos good into your other is your best anti-tank kind of option. Lancer is just good, very durable, pretty strong, and Canis is just the most efficient for its points as well. Then we have a Crusader, or 2 Crusaders, both with Avenger Gatling cannons and rapid fire battle cannons. So really trying to push that damage 2, damage 3 piece. Really, really strong there. You've got your kind of your anti-infantry pieces, your anti kind of anything with the Lancer, kind of aggressive move forward piece. Atropos to kind of deal with the anti-tank a bit more. And then Canis Rex, which is a bit anti-tank and a bit anti-melee and also a bit of anti kind of like elite infantry. So you kind of cover all your bases, but you are playing the game with 5 models. That is literally nothing else. It is just 5 models. Very, very cool stuff here. Interesting to see, what does the Pendant of Silvered Fury do? I'm kind of curious in this one. Pendant Silver Fury. When the bear is selected to fight, it can use this enhancement. If it does, this enhancement is expanded. Then until the end of the phase, melee weapons equipped by the bears have sustained hits 2. So you charge in, you get sustained hits 2. When you get vowed again, you can get one back. And yeah, it's really, really strong. So that's pretty cool. Okay, so you just really like sustained hits 2 is one of those like, yeah, it's effectively +2 to hit. And especially when the Lancer has like flat 6 damage attacks, can really help into say, even if you go into like the scarier Marine units, you can still kind of deal with them, right? Those Virtuous Honor Guard, those Deathwing Knights, you still, every failed save is just killing one. So being able to get those additional attacks to really kind of skew that can be pretty strong. Yeah, cool list. It's really unique. Really interested to see how the five knight list works. It's a lot of firepower though. Like it really is a lot of firepower. So you're really interested in that one. Next we have Matthias and his Blood Angels. This is Rage Cursed Onslaught. There was quite a bit. There's within the Blood Angels list, there's quite a bit. There's quite a few that were Liberator Assault Group. There's a few that were Rage Cursed Onslaught. I decided to go for a Rage Cursed Onslaught one because it's newer, it's more exciting. People are wanting to try and figure out how these builds work more than the Liberator Assault Group ones, which are still fairly the same. So Rage Cursed Onslaught, you get +1 attack if you made a charge move and reroll 1s to wound, always, and melee only. And if you're battle shocked, you get an additional +1 to attack. So you get +2 attacks if you're battle shocked on the charge. So, and there's ways to strats that kind of battle shock yourself and you also get a benefit. So you can get some crazy volume of attacks through. So we have a Captain with Jump Pack with Master of the Red Thirst, which is a once per game fights first. Very, very strong. Chaplain with Jump Pack with Angel's Fang. We have a chaplain with another chaplain with Jump Pack, Dante, Lamades, and the Sanguinor. The Sanguinor, for another piece of fights first, it's also really great melee manipulation because your opponent charges you. You can fight first somewhere, and then you can, if they charge you in another place, you can put Sanguinor down, so you can also fight first there as well. So you can do some really cool like manipulating things, or even just blocking where models can pile in. Sanguinor sometimes isn't worth the 130 points, but in some games he can really flip a game on its head. So really, really cool stuff there. Lamades for the -1 damage with the Death Company with Jump Packs, very strong. And you got Dante to go with Sanguinary Guard. In this detachment, Dante's also quite good on his own, just because he has 8 attacks base. So if you do the Battle Shock strat on him, he goes to 10 attacks at like strength 9, AP 4, 3 damage, 2 damage. It's like crazy volume of attacks that he can kind of pump out. And then the rest of it's just efficient, good pieces. You do need jump chaplains in this because your Death Company pieces do need those chaplains nearby so you can make sure that you're getting your abilities because you have 0 OC if you are not within 12 inches of a chaplain or 6 inches of a Blood Angel's character. Next, we have a unit of 5 intercessors, pretty much ubiquitous with all of the Marine lists. We have a Bale Predator, the Flamestorm Cannons, really, really good. It's just half a Redeemer's shot, so it's just D6 +3, strength 6, AP 2 damage. Good volume. It's an annoying piece to have to deal with. It's fast. They advance and shoot natively, and just it's a good Overwatch piece to have. Really can cause some problems in some matchups as well, especially the MSU ones where you kind of need to be able to get rid of screens, kill those kind of the easy chaff pieces. It's kind of the first thing you can send out to start those kind of trade wars, force your opponent out. You get to Overwatch, especially if you're into another Marine army, you can kind of deplete their JPIs, their infractor units, that kind of stuff. Get them down, so then now they have to send a second unit out to make sure that they kill you. Stuff like that can be really strong. Then we have 10 Death Company Marines with Jump Packs. Very strong. They'll probably go with Lamades. And then 2 units of 5 Death Company with Jump Packs. Again, slightly more efficient than the 10-mans because you get 1 additional Power Fist in the 5-mans than you do to the 10. You don't get double the weapons in the 10-man. You get 1 additional Power Fist effectively and then double all the other weapons. It's kind of interesting that the 5s are slightly more efficient. Obviously still way less volume of attacks, so you're still missing 5 people. But yeah, you don't get as many damage to attacks. Then we have an Outrider Squad, just a good fast-moving piece. That's also toughness 5. A unit, and then 3 units of 5 Sanguinary Guard. Sanguinary Guard in this detachment are crazy. They are just very, very efficient. One of them getting the fights first enhancement on it, so like you can't really charge them. Well, it's once per game fights first, but it's always going to, like, you only ever usually need to use fights first once, and they just blend things really well. The fights first enhancement has a bit of weird synergy though, where you don't get any of your buffs, so you don't get the extra attacks when you're charged. It's only when you've made a charge move. So they still do blend. They're still Sanguinary Guard, don't get me wrong. but they are not necessarily as hard hitting as other times. And notably, they both, all three of them have spears on them, which means that they also have lance. So they're also not getting the benefit of lance, so they're not kind of getting the extra bonus that like the blades kind of have. I would probably have one of these units with blades, with the swords, just for the fact that in the matchups where it matters, you can then put the fights first guy on the sword unit, just so you get that extra AP, so you can get a little bit extra efficiency in those matchups. Then we have 2 units of scouts, just great mission playing pieces, and then we have a Calidus assassin to finish off the list. Good quality, nothing bad there. Like Calidus really good into the melee matchups. Having fights first, fighting death on the Death Company units, all that kind of stuff, really strong. Rage Cursed Onslaught is definitely something you need to be thinking about in your meta, and lists like this will be things that you'll be seeing quite often. Now we have Leagues of Votann. Now, there was only a couple of Leagues of Votann at this event, which is pretty interesting. But this one I thought was very cool because it was Delve, which is the Berserker detachment where Berserkers become battle line, and you get some extra buffs and stuff. They get Deep Strike and some other neat things. But it's quite an aggressive melee control kind of style way of playing Votann. So I thought let's just go through it and kind of talk about the interesting points here. So we have a Brokir Ironmaster with Delverk Navigator. Then we have a Memnir Strategist with Multi-Wave System Jammer. And then we have Uther the Destined. Let's check what those enhancements do. So we've got Delve Navigator. Let's just search Navigator. In the reinforcement step of your movement phase, the bearer can use it if it does. Select one friendly Chthonian Berserker unit visible to the bearer, and then spend any number of yield points to return one destroyed model to that unit. And then for every 2 yield points you just spent, return up to 1 additional destroyed model to that unit. So you can really dump your yield points to like bring a unit back to life. That's pretty interesting. You can get some extra charge range, so chipping a unit makes it a bit worse. Stuff like that's quite cool. And then the other one was the Multi-Wave System Jammer. Once per battle in your movement phase, if the bearer is on the battlefield, it can use this enhancement. If it does, select one friendly Chthonian unit in reserve. To the end of the phase, for the purpose of setting that unit up on the battlefield, treat the current battle round number as being 1 higher than it actually is. So it's kind of like a weird turn 1 deep strike if you want it, or yeah, so it's turn 1 deep strike kind of ability. And you can pick any unit that's in reserve. Pretty cute, pretty nice. I like it. Cool. And then yeah, just Uther the Destined, just being Uther. Then we've got 10 berserkers, 5 berserkers. So we have 3 units of 10 berserkers and 3 units of 5 berserks here. Okay. And then we have concussion maws on half of them, and then we have plasmas on a couple, one of the 10s and one of the 5s, it looks like. And then yeah, and that's it. So 4 with concussions, 2 with plasmas, unit of 3 Thunderkin with Grav, a unit of 2 Earthshakers. The Earthshakers are actually quite important in this matchup because like forcing your opponent to take battle shock tests can be quite important, because if they fail it, and you can then set up turns where then you can charge without worrying about interrupts, and it can make your kind of pacing of your turns a lot more important. And then we have 2 Hecaton land fortresses. Your good kind of stat checky, good shooting platforms that can just hit some good damage marks, are durable enough that they're like a pain to get rid of, and are just good pieces, and also transports for your berserkers to start in and kind of cycle through as well. We've got a unit of 10 Jaegers that will get split in the KP carrier, which is below it. Really good. This is your like early game piece for just doing your mission, blocking your opponent, setting up your game, so then you can win or slam and hit your opponent very hard. I really like Delve. I don't know if it's the strongest way to play, but it's very interesting. But it is also very all-in. You're kind of playing this one game, but it's kind of like playing Biosanctic GSC, where you kind of just play quite aggressive. You're playing to your outs. You're kind of playing for those, getting those edges in certain games. But at the same time, Berserkers still hit very hard. And once you get to Fortified and they're -1 to wound, it becomes very tough to actually get rid of them all, because they're so just tough. They're tough, shirtless men. And, we all like tough, shirtless men. Next we have Thomas Woback. This is one of the Woback brothers. They are known to be some of the best players coming out of Austria. And he is playing Eldari, and he is playing Aspect Host, which is, it took a lot of nerfs in the most recent data slate. So it's really interesting seeing that one of these really top players is still playing Aspect Host. So let's kind of see what he has got cooking. So he has an Autarch with Aspect of Murder, Jane Czar, Lycus, and a Troop Master. Pretty interesting start here. Like, obviously Lycus and Jane Czar very, very strong. Lycus with Warp Spiders is a crazy unit, and then Jane Czar with Banshees is also a very strong unit. And then the Autarch with Aspect of Murder. Again, I'm not sure what that does, so let's search it up. Sorry, I didn't do super amount of research, but I'd rather, not lie to you guys and just figure it out, let you guys know. So add 1 to the damage characteristic of melee weapons equipped by the bearer, and those weapons have precision. Awesome. So he gets +1 damage and precision. So he does a bit more damage. Awesome. I love stuff like that. And then Troop Master, just an efficient piece, has +1 to wound, gets some pretty good stuff. I actually think Troop and Troop Masters are quite good, just generally good units in Eldar, even if you're not taking them in Serpent's Brood or Ghost of the Webwright. I still think they're quite good. Like, they're just efficient for their points. You can flip primary with them. They hit harder than you expect them to. But anyway, back to this. We have 2 units of Corsair Void Reavers, just your cheap kind of trash units. We've got a Falcon, a unit of 5 Fire Dragons, a unit of 5 Fire Dragons. Notably, we saw that there was not Fugan in this list. So definitely going to the MSU kind of styles, having them more like missiles instead of this uninteractable unit. Then we have 2 units of Banshees of 5, 2 units of Rangers, 1 unit of Striking Scorpions, and then 3 units of Hawks, a unit of Troop, and then 2 units of Warp Spiders. So that Autarch is actually probably going with these Striking Scorpions to turn them into a bit more of a hard-hitting unit, which is quite interesting. So it actually makes them do some quite serious damage. And then you have the Swooping Hawks to be your mission play. 1 unit of 10 Swooping Hawks that I did kind of bypass. So you have your 10 5/5 Swooping Hawks. So you kind of get like the good amount of grenade kind of synergy there. You can chip away at a lot of mortals. You can move block really well. And the guns just also have some, good break points into certain units. Just the volume of shots that you have can be quite good. The 5 Troop to go with the Troop Master. Again, just a very efficient piece that you can play with. And then the 2 units of Warp Spiders, 1 with Lycus and then 1 without. Warp Spiders are crazy. 105 points is absolutely value town for what you get for them. There's no other unit that can move 24 inches in a turn and still do its thing. It's absolutely crazy. I think the way to fix Warp Spiders is they get to do the 24-inch move, but they can't shoot that turn. And then Lycus can make them able to shoot. I think the 24 shoot and charge from Lycus is absolutely crazy, and it should be one or the other. And then they shouldn't be able to do it normally. But they're also not doing it super well at the moment. So, hey, like, what do I know? But yeah, very cool list. I'm really interested to see how this goes, especially as everyone's saying that, Aspect Host is kind of dead, that it's not very strong anymore. Even my tier list, I had them in B tier. But, people are still taking them to these events, and these are high-level events, right? So, really, really interesting stuff. Next, we have Grey Knights, and it is a Banishers list, which has a Brotherhood Librarian with Pyre Soul. We have a Brotherhood Librarian with 66th Seal. Oh, gosh, that's a mouthful. And then we have Crow, Grandmaster, and a Grandmaster Nemesis Dreadnought with Sigil of the Hunt. Let's bring up these enhancements, because this is a bit more of a niche one. Sigil of the Hunt. Each time the bearer makes each time a model in this bearer's unit makes an attack, reroll a hit roll of 1. Nice. So reroll hit rolls of 1. Then we have 66 Seal, which is in your shooting phase, each time a model in the bearer's unit makes an attack, improve the armor penetration of that attack by 1. Absolutely crazy there. And then Pyre Soul, which is the psychic one. At the start of your shooting phase, the bearer can use this enhancement. If it does, select 1 enemy unit within 24 inches and visible to the bearer. That unit suffers D3 mortal wounds. So it's just being able to chip mortals away. All 3 of those really quite good. Yep. So we got 1 librarian with the just do extra mortals when they already do mortals themselves, and then we have 1 that pumps up the AP in his unit, and then we have a Grandmaster with rare ones to hit. Awesome stuff. And for battle line, we have a unit of 5 Terminators with an Apothecary, a unit of 5 Strikes, and then we have a Intercessor squad of 5, and then we have 5, 5, and 5 Paladins. So I'm assuming these get the 3 characters attached to them, which was the Grandmaster, the brother, and then the 2 librarians get attached to. So these units do significant damage, especially with the extra AP from that one unit, the extra mortals from the other, just things that really kind of stack those kind of damage that they can do. And then we have Crow attached to 10 Purifiers to kind of finish off this unit as well. Very, very cool. It's much more durable than you expect. Like the 3 Insta Terminators can really put out a lot of shooting, and also are not too bad in melee either. They're also quite durable. The thing is that the things that are good at killing them are also good at killing the other things that are kind of good at the meta right now. So I'm not sure how much I love this, but again, in teams you can kind of dodge some of the worst matchups. So there's also that. This is a really cool list. This and the other Grey Knight lists were both quite interesting, but this one I thought with the 15 Paladins was just really, really cool, and definitely something that I wanted to kind of think about myself and kind of think of like how this plays, because it's very, very few units, right? Like it's not even like many Nemesis Dread Knights, it's just the one. So it's like, how does this list going to play? Like it's effectively 4 bricks in a Nemesis Dread Knight and then a couple of extra pieces. So it's really susceptible to being like move blocked and screened out of the board, but it also has the damage that it can really just push through where it needs to. So really interesting. I'm hoping if this event is streamed this weekend that this list gets on, because I'd really be interested to see how it deploys, how its turn 1 and turn 2 kind of function as well, because it's a really, really cool list. On to the next. Now we've got our AdMech list, which is Halo Screed. The Halo Screed, you get the pick 2 units, and they either get plus additional move or other kind of buffs, which can be all quite strong. And we have Belisarius Call as the leader, giving you Oath most likely to a unit, or some other cool buffs, and also just an absolute beater himself. A Data Smith and a Tech Priest Engine Seer. The Data Smith has, I never know what the names of these ones are. Dyad Wafers. Just to put wafers in. Surely there isn't that many things called wafers. Wafers. Oh, apparently that's not going to come up. Do I need to change anything? Trans. No, nothing's coming up there either. Let's have a look. See. Okay, well, looks like I won't be able to find that one. That's all right. Then we have 2 units of Skitarii Rangers, 2 units of 3 las cannon chickens, or the Ballistari, Ironstrider Ballistari, a unit of 4 robots with phosphor blasters and heavy phosphor blasters, a unit of 10 and a unit of 5 infiltrators, and then 2 units of 10 and a unit of 5 rust stalkers. So this is like, it's got the las cannons and the robots to kind of be your shooting backbones, and then it has these like infiltrators and rust stalkers to kind of push through like your melee to flip primaries, just to kind of do your big damage dealing. So you're controlling the board with the melee, but you're also controlling the fire lines with your heavy, like, the amount of like rerolling las cannons, with those phosphor blasters from the robots as well. So it's a very controlling again, but again, very like lean on the amount of things that you have. Call 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 kind of shooting units, and then you have also kind of 3 shooting units and the 2 infantry units, and then you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 other units. So it's like a 12 unit army. Like again, really lean, but everything does do its job, and everything hits very hard. Like rust stalkers, really good at dealing that damage. A lot of damage too, though. So the -1 damage. So say from like the any redemptors that you see, or anything else that's -1 damage, that Star Shatter list, when you get the Silent King to -1 damage, these guys just really fall off on the damage front. And like halving their damage is super significant to these kind of matchups. So like the stuff that's the medicals there are really good. So that's quite interesting. But at the same time, these guys just absolutely chew through units. Like any marine bodies, they just absolutely rinse. Yeah, that's them. On to the next one. We have Chris Radford on his Space Marines. This is the Gladius Task Force. This is Ultramarines. We have Captain Sicarius, Captain and Gravis armor with Artificer armor, so he's a 2-up save and 5-up feel no pain. We have Combi Lieutenant. We have Calgar, Grav Calgar to be specific, and then we have Uriel Ventress. So you get the deep strike Victrix Guard unit. You get Cato Sicarius's always reactive moving Victrix Guard unit, and then you have Marnius Calgar's super Victrix Guard unit, right? So you can kind of already tell that there's probably going to be 3 Victrix Guard units when you see this kind of startup. But then what do we have next? We have an Intercessor squad, 1 unit of Jump Pack Intercessors, 2 Ballistas, and 1 Redemptor. So quite heavy on the Dreadnought front here with the double Ballistas and a Dreadnought, and a Redemptor, sorry. Then we have 1 unit of Scouts to be like your just like lonely scoring piece, and then we have 3 units of maximum Victrix Honor Guard, and we have the banner and the ancient in 1 unit, and then we have 2 kind of bare bones units. So obviously your 3 main characters go with one rapid ingressors, and the other 2 kind of start on the board and kind of just pressure going forward, push that kind of gameplay. Notably, it's Gladius and not Blade of Ultramar, and I think that is probably the correct play. With so many melee units and melee armies out there at the moment, having the access to fight on death, even if your unit's not going to die, just having those 2 models that did die to be able to also swing meet, like guarantees that you can beat up on the melee matchups as well. Because if you have the fabled 4 CP, which is pretty easy to get to when Calgar's your leader and you're gaining that extra command point every turn, by the end of your turn 2, you're going to have 4 CP. So if your opponent charges you with more than one thing, you fight on death with the one that they fight with first, and then you interrupt the next one, and then their trades are always going to be less valuable. So it's going to be very, very powerful in that regard. So that kind of is the issue there that Blade of Ultramar can get into, whereas it can't do that kind of double control in the fight phase because it doesn't have the fight on death access. It does have other good things as well, though, but again, really interesting here. I really like to see how this goes, and it's a good list, right? It's probably one of the best lists in the game right now. Victrix Honor Guard is still too oppressive. The fact that you can still run effectively 20 because you get Grav Calgar and his 2 and then 18. It's just so much you have to chew through, and so many armies just aren't teched to deal with it. So you just run over some matchups. You can even see like the name. I assure you, I enjoy this less than you do. Like even he doesn't enjoy playing it, right? Like, at least he's honest with stuff like that. But it's a good list. It's one of the strongest lists you can play right now. The only thing that's kind of interesting is the double Ballistas and Redemptor there. But apart from that, very, very strong typical list. Next we have Alpine from Team France. This guy is the best Death Guard player in the world, and he just pretty much only plays Death Guard, but he does such an amazing job with it. I can't even begin to state how good of a player he is with these guys. So we have a Virulent Victorium Death Guard list, which is effectively the base list, the index attachment, so you get the sticky on all your stuff, which is just very strong. Then we have a Biologist Putrefier, a Demon Prince of Nurgle with Revolting Regeneration for the extra feel no pain, so he becomes revoltingly resilient. We have a Lord of Contagion with a Demon Weapon of Nurgle, which I believe just gives him extra damage on his weapon. And then we have a Malignant Plaguecaster, Mortarion, awesome stuff. Love seeing Mortarion in lists. And a Teleman for the extra CP. So the Plaguecaster and the bio will go with the 10 Plague Marines, which are right below him. That makes that unit just do revolting amount of damage as well. Just that unit, if it's within half range, kills most things in the game when it gets to activate. Then we have a Chaos Rhino to keep those Plague Marines safe until you need to use them. A unit of Death Shroud to go with the Lord of Contagion to make that unit kill pretty much anything in the game as well. Within reason. Oh, sorry. Pardon me. Take a quick drink. Oh. Then we have 1 Flash Mower Bloat Drone, 2 Heavy Blight Launcher drones, 2 Mephitic Blight Haulers, all both individuals, and then 2 units of Poxwalkers. Really interesting split here with the 1 Flash Mower and then the 2 Blight Launcher ones. I wonder if that's a points thing or if that's actually just whittled down to perfection there. Exactly what he needs for the certain matchups. But yeah, really clean list. Again, this is another one of these lists which just doesn't have that many units in it. 10 to 12 model count is really becoming a lot more like just this kind of standard at the moment. It's like when I was playing my Wrath of the Rocklist and I was running 11 units, I thought that was low. And now looking at these, like you got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, you know. So I guess it's, you know, on the higher side in that regard, but you still have just these huge units that you're that you're slamming down, right? Like, and like some of your units, like the Poxhawkers die pretty quickly. And even the Mephitic Bitehaulers, they're more durable than you expect them to be, but they're not the most durable tanks in the world, right? They're just a bit more durable than a Rhino. But yeah, really, really cool stuff. Really excited to see how he goes this weekend, just since he's such an incredible player. Be really interested to see. Now we have Vincent and his Thousand Suns Grand Coven list. Grand Coven, again, the index, which has been tweaked a little bit in the codex. He has a Demon Prince with wings with Eldrix Vortex, which is the +1 damage enhancement. This guy I really, really like. One of my friends, David, has been playing this a lot, and I really like the piece because he can 6-inch deep strike. He gets that extra damage. If he's shooting character units, he gets full rerolls as well, which is just really, really good. It just makes him. He also gets sustained hits on the turn that he drops down if he drops within 6 with his Aether Strike or whatever it's called. So like with those full hit rerolls, it just becomes really, really crazy what he can do. He can Doombolt or, you know, do whatever powers he needs to do as well to really make sure his damage goes through. It's just really, really cool. Really cool piece there. Really helps solve some of the issues that you can come into with Thousand Suns. Then we have an Exalted Sorcerer with Incandium, which is the Doombolt twice, or Doombolt after you've already Doombolted once per game. You have Magnus the Red, a Sorcerer with Crystal, which is the in your command phase, lift your unit up and come back down that turn, and then 2 Sorcerers. Very clean. Then we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. So 30 rubrics, but all units are 5. Very, very clean here. It's just trying to play into the efficiency that kind of rubrics can do. They're one of the best hard-hitting infantry troop units that you can take, especially with those rubrics in them. They're all quite strong, just efficient, you know, good Overwatch threats, good damage. If you're on an objective, which you kind of have to be to play 40k well, they just do a crazy amount of damage. And we have a Chaos Rhino, a unit of Zangul Enlightened with spears, a unit of Enlightened with goats with great bows, and then we have 3 units of 10 Zanguls. So quite a bit of like trash at this end. So you have the 6 units of rubrics and then the kind of 5 trash pieces here, which is quite interesting. So you have quite a bit of trash in this list as well. You have 11, 12, and then 13, 14. So you have 14 units in this list. So a bit on the, again, I guess it's higher than that kind of like 11, 12 that I've been like talking about, but it's still pretty like lean. And this is probably one of the widest ways you could play with the 6 units of rubrics, right? No Terminators to kind of sink the points into. Really cool list though. Kind of, again, it goes very wide. It's probably not trying to blow games out crazy unless it gets into a really good matchup. It's just trying to control the board, be able to deny primary a lot more, and then just be able to hit you off objectives as well with those rubric units. Pretty cool stuff. Now we have the World Eaters list from David. This is a Berserker list. The combined efforts of all Slovenian World Eater players. Hell yeah. I love to see stuff like that. So we have Berserker Warband, so you get the extra strength and attacks on the charge. Awesome stuff. And we have a Demon Prince of Khorne, Khan the Betrayer, Lord on Juggernaut with Favourite of Khorne, and a Slaughterbound with Berserker Glaive for that extra damage. Really love all of that. A unit of 10 and a unit of 20 Berserkers. So the unit of 20 Berserkers will go with the Juggerlord, and the unit of 10 will go with Khan the Betrayer. Then we have a Rhino for the 10-man to start inside. 3 units of Spawn, still very efficient. They've gone up in points a couple of times now, but they're still like very good early gameplay pieces. They do a surprising amount of damage, on the charge, getting those extra attacks really kind of keeps the damage really consistent, even though they have those variable number of attacks. The extra attacks that Berserker Warband gives really does help there. 1 unit of 8-bound, 2 units of Exalted 8-bound, so trying to tick a bit more into the higher AP, and then also anti-monster vehicle for 3+ units there. And then 2 units of jackals, 1 for your home field, 1 for your expansion. Beautiful. Love this kind of stuff. Like, it's very clean, very lean, but does exactly what you want to. The 20-man berserker unit really can punish some matchups. If you can't deal with it, it just takes over games. And even if you can deal with it, sometimes it still wins you the game for the fact that your opponent had to invest so much into it. But there is some matchups, like if you go into like Chaos Knights or something, where it just becomes a liability because Chaos Knights can just pick it up too fast for you to be able to do anything with it. But saying that, really cool list. Really, really like where Warriors are at the moment. They're kind of like that generic fine place where if you have a really good player on them, they can do really well, but you kind of have to be mastering them to do well with them, which is a good place I think where an army should be. Like, it's strong in the hands of a strong player, but it's, you know, just absolutely mediocre in the hands of like a mediocre player. It's not like the Ultramarines list where a mediocre player can take it and do really well with it. You need to, you know, a list like this needs to really, be played well, like, and consistently. Now we have a Boris and his Emperor's Children list. We have 3 Demon Princes, 1 with Pledge of Unholy Fortune, and then 2 without any enhancements. Then we have 3 Lord Exultants and Lucius the Eternal. Even with the princes going up, I was talking to Tate, my co-host, and he said that the triple prince is definitely the right way to go in coteries for teams. And he says probably 2 is the correct way to go for singles because you just get so much extra stuff. But when you can get paired, you can protect from your bad matchups, the things that the princes aren't good into. They do just still win you games. They're fast, they hit hard, the extra mortals that they can do. In coteries, they get, you know, the AOC access and the 4-up mortal protection makes them just super survivable as well. I really, really like the use of 3 here and really interested to see how that goes. The 3 units of Infractors to go with the Lords makes sense. 1 unit of Tormentors, so you have that infiltrating unit. 2 Rhinos, and then 3 units of Noise Marines. There's not a whole lot of innovation that happens in Emperor's Children at the moment. It's kind of like, do you take 3 Princes? Do you take 2? Do you take 3 units of Noise Marines? Do you take 2? Do you take a Mauler Fiend or do you not take a Mauler Fiend? Those are kind of the main kind of question points that you can kind of ask yourself. Like if you don't take the 3rd Prince, you can take a Mauler Fiend and then you also get like a unit of Flawless Blades, a unit of 3 Flawless Blades or something. You know, you can like tweak things a little bit, right? Like what's more beneficial to you? What do you think you're going to be going up against? But this one is kind of going all in as like, hey, you know, triple Lord and Infracted Lord units is good. Triple Noise Marines is good. Triple Princes are good. Like just taking like all the efficient good units that, you know, you can make good use out of. It's a good list. Now we have Thomas and his Chaos Space Marines Creations of Bile list. This is a pretty cool one, actually. This is Abaddon, so cool place to start. We got Cypher. We got Fabius Bile himself, obviously. We have a Sorcerer and Terminator armor. We have 2x2 Trader Enforcers. So the Trader Enforcer is just a guy and then an Ogren, but they have a 5-up Feel No Pain that is durable. For their points, they're just quite efficient. Good little pieces that you can play the game with. They hit kind of surprisingly harder than you expect them to, and they're just annoying to deal with. So quite cool little pieces there. And then we have a unit of Cultists, 1 Rhino, 2 units of 10 Chosen, and then 30 Possessed. 3 units of 10 Possessed. So it's like, there's no mucking about with this list. It's just all damage all the time, which I love. It's just, 50 guys running at you, and then you have like a couple of idiots like the Trader Enforcers and the Cultists just to kind of, do what they do, score your primaries, score your secondaries for you, and then that's kind of the list. It's very cool. It kind of plays one way. It kind of has to go at your opponent. There's no other way it can really play the game. But with Abaddon to get the additional buffs that he gives out is actually really, really quite good. Keeps your stuff alive a little bit longer. Gives you the extra rerolls when you need it. Pushes you through the damage breakpoints. It's really, really quite cool. But again, it's one of those lists. It's not many things. Like 5 units there. It's 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. It's 10 units in this list. Like again, these lists are quite lean on the amount of actual units they have, which is all quite interesting, right? Now we have Lucia, and his Adeptus Sororitas, which is Bringers of Flame. And Bringers of Flame get advance and shoot on all the stuff, which is quite good when you can bring a lot of guns to bear, especially in Sisters, which is a bunch of Melter. You get a Canoness, we have Morven Val, and we have Triumph for that extra movement or extra miracle dice or like all the good stuff that she gives. She is so expensive now, 235 points. Oof, oof, bloody rough, bloody rough. And then we have 2 Immolators, both with multi-melters, and then a Rhino. We have a unit of 3 Arcoflagellants, 3 Castigators, all with autocannons. I think autocannons are the correct play right now, just for the fact that you don't want to get tagged and not be able to shoot yourself out of combat. So the autocannons just kind of help with that. Otherwise, the battle cannon is like, I guess, slightly better damage-wise sometimes. So it's like nice to have like access to at least one of them, but I can understand totally for going for the 3 with the amount of melee pressure lists out there at the moment. I think it's the correct call, even for singles. 2 units of Dominions to get split up with those Immolators at the start of the game. Unit of Paragon Warsuits to go with Morven Val. And then 2 units of Retributors with multi-melters. These guys wreck now. They really do so much damage right now. And even like their Overwatches can be pretty gnarly, like with the rerolls that they get. Like they can just do some really serious damage. So really watch out for these units. With tanks, with elite infantry, all that kind of stuff. They can do some significant damage. But yeah, cool list. Hits hard. It kind of, again, not many units, like even for sisters, right? Like it's like you do get the Dominions do get split up, so I guess that it does kind of, like add quite a bit there. But yeah, it's still fairly lean for a sisters list anyway. It's on the leaner side because you're still taking a bunch of the tanks, you're taking the Morven Val, you're taking the Triumph, which are these expensive sync pieces. But yeah, really, really fast, hard hitting, good into other vehicle lists, good into that elite infantry kind of style lists. Not necessarily as good into the necessarily straight melee pressure because it kind of needs to be able to kill its thing. It doesn't have that much screening, especially into like the Blood Angels. It really doesn't like seeing that, I would say. But at the same time, really cool list. Now this list is a bit of an enigma to me. This is the Orcs Bully Boys list, and it is kind of crazy. So we've got a Beast Boss, Boss Snickrot, a War Boss, and a War Boss with and Mega Armor with Teleporter, which just gives his boys Deep Strike. Pretty cute. Then we have a unit of Beast Anchor Boys to go with the Beast Boss, a unit of boys to Sticky. Nothing crazy there. And then also probably to go with the standard War Boss, I would assume. And then we have 3 trucks, a Battle Wagon, 3 units of 10 Flash Kits, unit of Gretchen, unit of Commandos, and then 3x5 Mega Knobs. Crazy. Again, just so slow on the amount of stuff, even for Orcs, like especially for Orcs. This is so low model count. It's just not that much stuff. But like you have a Battle Wagon, so you got some points things there, and then the 3 units of max Flash Kits, which are good. I genuinely think a lot of Orc lists should start with at least 20, but a lot of the time 30 Flash Kits. I think the shooting that they provide is really good, and their damage, that's still just a boatload of attacks, especially on the War, that just really helps push through that damage when you need it, and just good volume all of the time. The Commandos are cool, they're just a good unit to have. And then, yeah, the Mega Knobs are kind of, I guess the style of this list is it has the Flash Kits. You send a unit of Flash Kits out to kind of get your opponent out a little bit, and then you send 2 to 3 units of Mega Knobs out. Call the War that turn as well. So then they have the 5 up Feel No Pain. And your opponent can't deal with them, and then you can War again and kind of just keep pushing them back. Then you have the other 2 units of Flash Kits come out to try and like clear your way through the army as well. So I think that's kind of the way it plays. It just seems really like lean to me, but Bully Boys is always kind of the much leaner version of Orcs anyway, so it might just be me being a bit Warhorde pilled where I'm definitely not used to their low model count as low model count. Oh, my voice is getting a little raspy. I'm just gonna have another drink. Oh. On to the next one, we have a Drukhari, which is Spectacle of Spite. This is the Witch Cult detachment that gets different drugs depending on the turn. You can either roll for your drugs or you can pick a drug. I think you can only pick each drug once, but you can roll 2 dice as many times as you want, and whatever comes up is fine. So we have Lady Malice for the gives you flat 3 damage and a Vectora. Lilith Hesperex because she is just an absolute boss. And then we have 3 succubuses. One of these will have the fight first enhancement. One of them will have the ignore Overwatch. And I'm not sure what the other one does, but all very good pieces there. And then we have 10, 20, 30, 40, 50 witches. Pretty ubiquitous at the moment. Like 40 to 60 is really anywhere in that range is where you kind of want to be. And then we have 30 Hellions, 5 Mandrakes, 2 Raiders, and then 3 units of Scourges. Notably, there is not a single Venom in this list. So none of the witches are splitting. So it's just 5 units of 10 witches. There is no Reavers in this list either. So there is no bikes to tag things up. It's just full aggression all the time. You got the Scourges for the anti-tank, and then you just have Hellions and Witches just trying to windmill slam your opponent as hard as they possibly can. Pretty interesting. Like, it's quite aggressive. I know I'm like saying it again, but it's 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 units on an MSU army having only 13 units. It's crazy. Like, this is supposed to be an MSU army of like 20 plus units, right? And they're just like, the meta is calling for these bigger units to be able to deal with the damage that they need to. So you can't have these like efficient little trading pieces. You actually need bigger units to be able to do anything in the current meta. But Spectacle is really good into most marine body types. They're just like with the Hellions with the native lance and AP1 base, just really, really good. All the drugs are really good on them, especially the extra attacks and strength. Those ones can hit some really good breakpoints. And on the witches, pretty much everything apart from, I think this ballistic skill is a pretty bad one. But besides that, you have everything that's really good. The strat to charge at the end of your opponent's movement phase, if they are normal moved or advanced, is just absolutely amazing for board control and presence. And that might be another reason to have the 10s, just to make sure if you are charging with the 10 that they're actually doing more damage. Could be maybe another point of that. And just really trying to lock down that control side of things in the game. Really, really cool list. I know I've been saying that for every list, but everything here is pretty interesting. And next we have the Infernal Lance Chaos Knight list from Eric. And it is, surprise to none, triple Gatling Despoilers, double Carnival and a Stalker, and then 3 Beasts of Nurgle, 2 units of Nurglings, and a unit of Plague Bearers. So this is a slightly different slew on the bottom half here. It's only 3 War Dogs, so 2 Carnivores and the Stalker, and you've kind of gone for a bigger allied detachment of demons. Notably there, this team can't take Chaos Demons like Scintillating Legion because they took the allies here, so they're taking off that from the prospective options for the team comp just so he can have these, so that maybe that's why he's gone a bit more heavier in them to really like capitalize on the fact that you're not having them anywhere else in your army. So he's got the Plague Bearers, 2 units of Nurglings, and then 3 Beasts, so a really good package of scoring there. And the 3 Knights, the 3 Despoilers, are just super efficient for what they are. They do their job, right? They just throw a bucket of dice at your opponent and force them to make a bunch of saves. And that's kind of what Chaos Knights do, especially for Infernal Knights with the sustained hits. You're just forcing them to, you're forcing yourself to roll a lot of dice, but you're also forcing your opponent to roll a crap load of saves. That's kind of the idea. It's a bit of a stat check. Has a bit more mission play in this one because it has the Plague Bearers and it has the Beasts of Nurgle, but at the same time, it's still just trying to push your opponent out. Very, very cool stuff. Now we have Eduardo and his Astra Militarum. This is a Grizzled company, so this is the new Rizzed Vets from the Grotmust attachments, from this year's Grotmust attachments. Well, not this year, I guess, from this Christmas's Grotmust. You have a Commissar with Abhuman Detail, Gaunt's Ghosts. Abhuman Detail gives you the ability to order Ogren and Bulgren. And then you have a Krieg Command Squad and a Rogal Dawn. Very nice stuff. Notably, the Rogal Dawn doesn't have the enhancement for +1 AP, so that's quite notable that obviously the other tanks in the list won't have access to +1 AP, and they're shooting within 12. And then we have a unit of Catachin and then a unit of Death Corps Krieg. We have a unit of three units, sorry, of 6 Rough Riders, 3 units of 6 Bulgrin, crazy stuff. A unit of Death Riders as well. So he has 4 units of horses. This guy loves horses. And then 2 Leman Russ Vanquishers and a standard Rogel Dawn, not a commander. So 2 Dawns in total. One's a commander, one not, and then 2 Vanquishers with multi-melters on the sides and a laser cannon at the front. So really trying to push that anti-tank style and anti-elite infantry with the Leman Russes. Dawns are good into pretty much everything. And then it's just lots of melee control with the 3 units of Bulgarin, and then also the Death Riders to move block. Having the oval bases means they can move block pretty nice because they can do, even with only 5 models, they get a really long string out. And stuff like that's pretty cool. And that's pretty much the list. Yeah, it's Grizzled Company getting the additional orders is very powerful, and also getting the reroll ones to hit if you're ordered, and reroll ones to wound if you're shooting something on if you're ordered and shooting something on an objective. Very, very powerful for Astra Militarum, which is the biggest weakness was inconsistency. So adding to that consistency is just really powerful. And getting the extra orders means that you're never going to be missing out on orders until your units are really depleted. So it's just kind of a nice little benefit there as well. I don't think the extra orders was necessarily needed, but at the same time, it just means that you can be a bit more lean on that stuff, so you can get access to that second dawn and stuff like that, and still have other things in your list. But yeah, cool list. The 18 Bulgarin is definitely going to be a lot for some of these armies to chew through. The like Blood Angels, which is like solely damage 2, goes down to damage 1. Still get the 4-up invols. Those units those Bulgarin stay alive for a very long time. And it's going to be quite difficult to chew through. And then you have those Vanquishers and Dawns just to clear up everything that stays in combat with them. It just can be a real nightmare for your aggressive, like damage 2 melee opponents to deal with. Really good list though. And then we have Patrick and his Tyranids. This is a subterranean assault. So you get reroll ones to hit army wide. And you can also, you make these tunnel markers, and on the tunnel markers, you can set up within 6 inches, wholly within 3 inches of the marker, and wholly within 6 inches of, I think it's within 3 inches of a marker and outside of 6 inches of enemy models. So it's like 6-inch deep strike with extra clauses. So for this list, we have 3 units of 5 hyper-adapted Raveners. We have a Neuro Tyrant, we have this Warlord, and we have a Trigon with Trigon Prime to get the extra strength and damage on his melee profile, and plus for the hit. He becomes weapon skill 2 as well. So quite nice there, like really good buff for a Trigon. The extra damage is huge. Then we have a Biovore, 1 Lictor, a unit of Neurogaunts, a Neuro Lictor, 2 units of Raveners, 2 Scream Killer Carnifexes with their new cheaper points. They just become quite efficient. And then 1 unit of Von Ryan's Leapers to have that kind of infiltrate early skirmisher unit, and then a unit of Zoanthropes to go with that Neuro Tyrant as well. So interesting that he has 3 units of hyper adapted Raveners, but only 2 units of Raveners. So he can either attach those units together and have these big kind of 10-man units, and then 1 unit of 5 hyper adapted will just have to stay on their own, or you can actually keep them separate and have these kind of just more trading pieces. So depending on matchup, you can kind of like attach or detach them depending on what you need. Do you need the Windmill Slam of the 10 to really push through the damage? Keep them together, attach them. If you don't, leave them separate and actually do have these more trading pieces. It's quite cool that you can do that, and they do work quite well independently, but they also do work quite well together as well. So quite cool there. Really, it's an interesting list. I'm not sure how much I love Subterranean Assault, but it's still good. Like an army that reroll ones to hit and has 6-inch deep strike access and some good stretch support is never going to be bad. It's just how well can it do and how much pairings protection does it need to really do what it needs to do. Now we have Jean-Luc and his Shield Host, Adeptus Custodes list. And we have, so Shield Host gets, when the Custodes Qatar in the fight phase, they get to, when they pick either sustained or lethal, they get to crit on 5s, or they get +1 AP. And a lot of the time now, the extra AP is actually better. as long as you're not pushing it to invols, but a lot of the time the AP is actually very, very good. So the maths on both are pretty interesting. Then we have a Blade Champ to give that advance and charge to one of the units, a unit of 5 Custodian Guard, and then 1, 2, 3, 4 units of 4 Custodian Guard, 1 unit of 5 Wardens, probably to go with that Blade Champion, 2 units of Prosecutors, 2 units of Venatari, 2 units of 3 Venatari, and 1 unit of 6 Venatari, and then 2 units of 4 Witch Seekers. So you have, 4 trash pieces with the 2 units of Prosecutors, 2 units of Witch Seekers, and then you just have so much gas, right? You have 1, 2, 3, 4, and then 5. So you have 9 kind of just like really good melee units that hit well above their weight for the most part. The Wardens, I'd say, are the weakest, but then because they have the Blade Champ attached, they become probably consistently the best damage dealer. Even though they don't have the rerolls to wound, they just, because they have the extra volume of attacks, they just become a bit better, and they're also a bit faster. And you kind of need, I think 1 unit of Wardens is probably correct still, just because you want that stat check in some place that you can cool, I need this unit to survive, I'm going to push the Feel No Pain to make sure they survive. But yeah, push through a lot of damage. You still are quite susceptible to the 4-up invul, 2-up save, 4-up invul game, whereas there's lots of AP2 at the moment. If you just fail your 4-up invuls, you do kind of just die. But on the inverse side, there's a lot of times where you do survive, and then you just can capitalize on it and really punish your opponent for it. But it is pretty linear, the game plan, right? The extra Venatari in this list, they have a bit more speed and a bit like the rapid ingress, because you can rapid ingress all the Venatari in a turn because of how their strat is worded, their ability is worded. Is quite strong, so you can really do these huge tempo plays from one side of the board to kind of flip where the game is being played. So stuff like that can be quite strong as well. Really cool list. And then on to the last list, and I have saved one of the best to last. This is an absolute crazy list that I really want to try playing myself because I think it sounds super fun. And also it feels like one of these lists that is just kind of it feels like the person just these are the units that I have painted, this is what I'm going to submit. But obviously when it comes to Poland, you're never going to expect them to take something just out of the blue. It's going to be, everything's going to be planned in advance and be, have a plan for it. So it's a Space Wolves Saga of the Great Wolf, which is the new detachment that comes out that benefits with Logan Grimnar. And we have Logan Grimnar, Combi Lieutenant, as always. We have Murderfang, and we have a Wolfguard Battle Leader with Scald's Foretelling, which just gives his unit Lance. So good ability, having +1 to wound when you charge is pretty strong. We have a unit of Intercessors, as you always do. We have an Impulsor. We have Assault Intercessors with Jump Packs. We have a Ballistus. We have 2 units of 3 Eradicators, which is, odd amount. We have a unit of 5 Fenrisian Wolves. We have a Infernus Squad. We have a Storm Raven Gunship. We got a unit of 6 Thunderwolf Cav. A unit of Head Takers to go with that Wolfguard Battle Leader, so they'll all get Lance. And then we have a unit of Wolf Scouts. So not normal Scouts, but Wolf Scouts, the ones that get +1 to wound if nothing else is close by. Really interesting. And then a unit of Wolfen. I love this list, but I don't necessarily understand it. It just seems a little odd. But at the same time, man, do I want to see this list play, because, and I just want to play it because it seems like so much fun. You have so many different tools. Once you've gotten a few reps with a list like this and you understand how the pacing of the game is supposed to go, I think it could just be really interesting. There's a strat in this to get +1 to wound and shooting, so that Storm Raven can just have +1 to wound whatever it shoots at. It doesn't have to be your Oath target, which can be quite a nice kind of, okay, well, I actually don't want to shoot the Storm Bolters this way, but they still get +1 to wound, even though they're not the thing that I'm trying to kill this turn. They can still do decent damage into whatever they're shooting at. So stuff like that, really, really cool. Really like that. And it's just an interesting list that has a bunch of different pieces that also, none of them don't make sense. The Infernus Marines is probably one of the ones that I'm like, really? Is this really what you want? But obviously, has a plan for them. And for teams, obviously, you can kind of tech for some unusual matchups and stuff like that, and tech for those kind of things. This loses me a game, this wins me a game in a certain matchup. Awesome. And stuff like that you won't know until maybe after the event, or maybe never. But really, really cool list. It's just really fascinates me that this is kind of where list building could go with some of these lists. Really unique, some really unique styles, some kind of out there ones, some more kind of stereotypical lists. Let me know in the comments below what lists you think are going to do well this weekend. What lists you, what are you hoping comes out of this unscathed? What do you expect this Space Wars list to be going an absolute tear with the Storm Raven this weekend, or do you think it's going to get absolutely clapped? All of these things. And also, if you have any takes on any comments on any of my takes for these lists, let me know in the comment section below. Otherwise, like the video, subscribe, all those good things. And also watch this video, because this video there, probably that's that side, right? Which will be going over the tier list that I did last week. Otherwise, I've been Chris, and I'll catch you guys next time.